Hello everybody, this is the Insomnic,
And I'm Dizzy771.
and we are here with another area spotlight. We're at the Druid Grove, and if you two would like to introduce yourselves. Here.
I am
guys.
Calax.
Do a little head nod. Or jump, that works. And you are, the other one is...
Is not talking.
I know he's not talking,
Is.
oh god.
Is.
Whoopsie daisies, I got my key binding wrong.
Who are you?
I am Awadi.
Okay, now do a little jump. Yeah, okay. Alright. Okay, so you guys are obviously the Druids. What is the purpose of the Druids?
To protect nature. And that's
To
about
serve
it. The
nature.
entire idea of the Druids is to essentially keep balance in the natural order, good versus evil, civilization versus nature, order versus chaos, etc. And to keep everything in line.
Alright, and what are some special powers you guys have as the Druids?
Well, growing trees like the one that we're under right now.
It is a pretty big tree.
A
Yep.
very big tree.
If you guys would like to explain all the red stuff before we start the tour, just to...
Well, right now, Malinor is going through an event to relocate the elves, which is essentially the tainting of the land. And unfortunately, the Druids have not been spared of this blight. So, right now, our tree is slowly dying. But there's still enough left to film.
Alright, well, now let's go, if you guys would like to start the tour of the Druid Grove.
The Druid's Grove is basically
Yeah.
two main areas. You've got the Grove and the Grotto. And the Grove is where most of the housing takes place, and then the Grotto where more ceremonial aspects take place.
This little
This
water.
is the attunement pool where druids are actually made into druids, attuned to nature.
Oh, it's like
Speaking of being made into druids, mind to tell us exactly how the druids came to be?
Well, it started, I can actually do this one. It started back in Aegis with Resprin. Basically, you know, he decided to roleplay an old sort of elf druid, and he made a little shack in the woods, and over time people started joining him, you know, in twos and threes, just becoming druids, learning from his character, and his shack started growing and growing as more and more people joined him and sort of created this multi-generational structure, which was the first Aegis Grove. And, you know, over time we refined ourselves, we got lore, we got a process by which to teach people, and we got direction, basically. So it all started with one old elf living in a shack, and it became probably the oldest guild in the entire server. The underground, really, the main purpose here is just attunement, which is the process by which a druid completes his training and becomes attuned to nature. But, you know, there's also some other cool stuff like this dryad tree, little animal healing place, that cave over there. And then this tunnel is used mostly for special guests, like ogres or giants or whatever happens to wander through seeking protection. The druids are sort of non-discriminant in what they let in, so long as they abide by the rules. So the grove finds itself more often than not hosting a lot of strange creatures which the rest of the world might shun.
What do you guys normally just do around here in the Druid Grove?
Well, usually whenever we're around the grove, you know, older experienced druids, guides and archdruids, now called elder druids, they are usually teaching new aspirants and dedicants to the order, you know, bringing up new druids, just sort of casually role-playing about growing trees, trying to heal this taint that's fallen over Malinor, but failing epically at doing so.
What's your favorite area in the Druid Grove?
Probably this one, actually. You get a really nice view of the tree from here. And I don't know, the entire point of this little sanctuary is to house the relics of the Druids. And so it has sort of a significance to both your character and provides like a cool little vista for you to look around.
Speaking of which, relics. Is there anything that the druids in particular consider sacred, aside from, of course, just, big trees?
Oh yes, we have these stones that are very precious to us. I believe that have been around since Aegis. They're called the aspect stones, and there are two druidic aspects, which are sort of deities that we sort of, worship. There's a Ceridwen and Cernunno stone. Well, oftentimes, the stones might get stolen, and the druids will have to go on epic treks to retrieve them back, which we are in the process of doing now.
On top of that, there are also sort of relics that were scattered throughout the history of the druids, such as certain seeds, saplings, and staves that held special significance to us. But most of those have been lost over time. The aspect stones are really the last sort of relics that we really hold.
And what would you say is the hierarchy of the druids, like rank-wise and stuff?
Well, the interesting thing about hierarchy is that the druids don't really believe in hierarchy. There's sort of this ideal where a common druid is just as important as an archdruid or an elder druid. And so really, as you progress in ranks through druidism, the purpose of it is really to only pass down what you know to the younger generation. So like, we would have druids who just serve as normal druids defending nature. Then you have guides, which teach the dedicants, and then the archdruids, which call moots or shuns. And that's usually the general process. The names and operations of those positions might change over time, but those are the three essentials that you have. And it's interesting because it's specifically stated by the order's mandate that everyone is equal in their opinion and their position. So most things are actually decided in the druids by a general vote. Well, this is the library here, and not much actually in here right now. We scavenged all the books, but besides this, we have archdruid offices, which are farther upstairs, and then the actual housing. And the housing was always one of my favorite parts of druidism because it wasn't like in a guard or a guild where you were given a room and said, here you go. Druid Groves have always been sort of a free build zone for us where you can just sort of go about doing whatever. And as long as your build isn't ridiculous, you're allowed to keep whatever you do. So you get a lot of interesting rooms where people are able to really express their creativity and what they want to do with it. So this is the main housing. Dedicants aren't really allowed to do fun things because they're below the dirt in our eyes. But every room, you're just allowed to do whatever with it. And it's pretty fun.
Who would you say are your biggest allies and your biggest enemies?
The druids' biggest allies would be probably just nature in general. In the past, they've held close ties with the elves, but in more recent times, we've sort of grown distant from the elves. But the druids' biggest enemies would definitely be mages, wizards, any magic casters out there.
And why is that?
Magic in the druids' eyes is very unnatural. We're all about keeping the balance of nature and all that good stuff, and we see that magic just corrupts that.
But wouldn't you say that druids use magic themselves?
The argument that druids generally use against that is that the aspects are giving them tools to right the imbalances that the four races have created. It's sort of like with druidism is sort of an anti-magic, and that druids actively seek to use their magic to mend problems which shouldn't have existed in the first place. So, and it's sort of like fighting fire with fire, In Druid lore, the first druid was created because there was a war between these two warring factions of mages. So the destruction was so great and so intense that the Druids were founded to eliminate both sides and put an end to the conflict, thus restoring balance and preserving the world. So that's basically what Druid Magic is. It's righting wrongs.
Alright, and what is the area we're in right now?
This is just sort of a scenic area. We have a complaint board there, which was created during a time of trial and turmoil. And, you know, there are a few little hidden nooks and crannies around this area in particular, but mostly it's just a sort of vista for the Druids to enjoy a view of the attunement pool, which is right below us.
Alright, and any other place you'd like to show us before we wrap this up?
That's all the main places in the Grove. But, you know, like I said, there are a few little bits and bobs I can show you real quick.
Oh boy.
Dwarf pumpkin.
This is just our, this is a sort of secret sanctuary we have for shapeshifting. This is where a druid goes after they complete the trials that they have to do for shapeshifting and achieve their first transformation. So, and I also just let someone in here that's not supposed to be in here. But that's okay.
Well, it's
Oh,
okay.
well.
We'll just murder them.
Everyone close in.
Really, are we just going to kill him
Close them in
now?
and run.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
it's
the
changed a little bit.
this is the home of one of our shadier sects of the Druidic Order.
I can't see anything, oh god. Brightness up. Alright, that kinda helps.
The main focus of this room are the three central statues, which are sort of the founders of this sect that this room belongs to. And I'm not allowed to say anything other than the fact that it's sort of a secret sect. They're not, they don't really like to see the light of day.
So explain a bit about the turtle then.
Do you know the story of his origin? I do.
How long has this been here?
Okay, well, this turtle, his name is Samuel. Many of you might know the game moderator Saviticus. Well, back in Elysium, he built this. It wasn't nearly this big. It's probably about the size of the head of this turtle. He built a turtle about the size of the head of this turtle, and he named it Samuel. It was a companion of the Druids at the time. And, since Elysium, Samuel has grown quite a bit. He actually served as the Druid's Grove for a short period of time whenever we lost our Grove the last time.
Yeah, it's gotten quite big. What's it eating?
Mages.
Alright.
Good to know.
That's a dark undertone, but alright.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say before we cut this end?
No, I think that's about all we got to show you, besides Milo's little SS Shroom boat, which is right over there on the other side of the shell. That's not important. That's just what we use when we feel like messing around with people.
All right. Well, thanks for having us, guys. It's good to see. For all the players out there, this has been the Druids. Take a look at them if you're interested in joining. You can probably get into contact with either of these two or another Druid. They can help you out. And thanks for watching. See y'all later.
Thank you.